Looking to get the upper hand on your fantasy football leagues for week 16? How about looking to lock in some early line bets that we absolutely love for NFL week 16? Well, my friends, you've come to the right place. Welcome, DJs, far and wide. What we love to do here. Let's talk injuries. Biggest one, Brandon Ayuk, ACL, MCL, multi-ligament knee injury. He's out for the season. Josh Oliver, anytime touchdown, plus 850. This was 10-1 earlier.
From a Denver standpoint, another defense to get in the end zone.
Welcome to the official DGen Doc Red Zone Bitching Hour.
The only thing I want to bitch about is basically they were so bad that CD was just, he had a decent day. Let's get this off the screen for just a second. I'm going to hijack this. We're going to go to the professor's office hours.
Oh!
For a second here.
This NFL Week 16 Fantasy Football and Betting Preview edition of the DGen Docs on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPNDOC to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rebet, a new social sportsbook available in 45 states. Download Rebet in your app store and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. And finally, we're brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to RITHMM. Welcome, DGens, far and wide, to another edition of the DGen Docs. What is up, folks? I'm one of your hosts here, the DGen Doc himself. And I'm joined, more importantly, by my co-hosts, a man on absolute fire right now, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
It's getting cold outside. I'm heating up. Let's go.
The man, the myth, the legend himself, now 30 years old, dirty 30. Derek celebrated his birthday by going a nice 3-1 on his locks and 3-0 on his banged up bets. Look, the show itself, we both went 3-1 on our locks, so nice 6-2 on our locks and 4-2 on the banged up bets on the props. I think that deserves a cheers, my friend. Cheers to you. Cheers to the audience. Thanks for kicking with us tonight. So a quick rundown of what to expect tonight. Because look, a little unprecedented water. We got 2 Monday Night Football games, so we are gonna go over the quick recap of the week. Then we're going to get into our injury rundown. We're going to focus on the biggest injuries, talk about, hey, what's going on, get you the inside information you need to know to get ahead of the sportsbook, get ahead of the fantasy leagues, get anybody you need to get on your teams to secure that championship. We'll talk about some Warriors and Wussies, waiver wire targets, and then we'll give out our early line locks and wrap up with 2 game breakdowns and our best bets for Monday Night Football. So if you're hoping to get down on some action on this game that kicks off here in about 45 minutes, stay tuned. But my friend, obviously we had a nice week for the show coming in. Any quick takeaways from the week? How did we see it going down? Anything you really stuck out to you?
Not anything too crazy, you know. I mean, the lasers were locked in for this past weekend. Like you said, both of us ended up going 3-1. The one that we both missed, though, I mean, Washington was up 17 points at one point, and ended up fumbling that bag in the fourth quarter. Later in
they were up, 17-0. I know on one of the money line parlays I took just on my own, I had an early cash out. I was like, well, we're in a good spot, and they just let them hang around. They let them hang around, and I mean, Terry McLaurin had probably 3 touchdowns that they didn't connect on. So, but yeah, like you said, man, good week. Really not a lot to bitch about.
No.
Now, audience, of course, if you want to throw somebody in the locker, if you want to bitch about something, drop it in the comments. Now is your time to drop on the bitching hour. But we're not going to spend a lot of time here because we had a solid week. What I will talk about, though, I do want to bring up something here, and it is about your Pittsburgh Steelers and those Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
Obviously, you are a Steelers fan. My wife is a Steelers fan.
Yep.
So I was watching that. I am a noted Eagles hater as a Giants fan. So I noted some things. I was obviously on the Steelers.
Can we go full screen here?
What is it?
Can we go full screen here?
We are going to go full screen. So this is just for context. Yeah. This is a play where the end result of this play was 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties on Pittsburgh. So just for some context here before what happened.
Take him to the locker room. Oh,
wow.
Slice throwing punches.
I think that's a pretty clear punch. The ref said that look, they're only on Pittsburgh. There was no evidence of any punches thrown. And this is something that is reviewable. They have thrown guys out because of throwing punches. So look, I don't want to get the guy tossed. I mean, whatever. But to not even have offsetting penalties, that took it from the 4-yard line back to the 19-yard line, shut down a very nice-looking touchdown drive. And then obviously the one more I'm going to talk about is this play where they said Jalen Carter absolutely slaps a dude.
There goes the ball there.
They said this was before the punt or after the punt happened.
Well, here, punch, ball.
I mean, come on.
That doesn't make any sense.
What are we doing? All right. I know we're on to week 16, but I just had to get that out. That's absolute horseshit from the NFL officiating.
With that game, it was, as a Steelers fan, I almost locked the Eagles up last week, just knowing the history between those two teams, the outcome a couple years ago when they played. But yeah, man, it was definitely a tough one to watch. But yeah, there was a few things to kind of sort of take away that, I don't necessarily think if they were to meet up again in the Super Bowl that, I would be completely on Philly for.
Look, I mean, if George Pickens is in the game, if Najee doesn't fumble, right, but look, Eagles are a good team as much as it pains me to say.
I think I texted you immediately after they decided to punt right before Jalen Carter tried to knock Connor Hayward out of the game and said, hey, dude, I don't know if I really like this punt. They've been moving the ball for the most part. They haven't stopped them at all.
Yeah.
And they didn't see the ball. Again,
Philly does what Philly does. I think
it was the second half.
It was a 22-play drive for 10.5 minutes of clouds out. I mean, I will say, as much as I hate Philly, they do that better than any team in the league.
They really do.
All right, enough talking about the Eagles because fuck them. All right, Bryce, bringing us out of NFL Week 15 and to today, which is still NFL Week 15.
Yeah.
But look, down 28, Bowers, Vikings defense, need a flex option. So we're looking for a boom option. He's down 28 and he's still got Darnold. So let's say he's conservatively down 45. He needs 45 points from Bowers, Vikings defense, to one of these dudes. You think that's a fair estimate?
I would say so.
17, 18 points, right?
Sure.
PPR. So obviously that's a thing.
Yep.
So we will definitely talk this game later on, but Jones, Addison, or Moore, for me, it's a boom thing. It's between Addison and Jones for me.
So
you go. Go ahead.
I really like Aaron Jones in this matchup from a rushing standpoint, but plus a receiving standpoint. But like you said, if you're looking for that boom play, Addison might give you that. Plus anything that Addison gets, it basically counteracts Darnold's stuff. So
I can stem Darnold a little bit. That's a good point.
But I think I would probably go Jones there.
Yeah. Damn. This is going to get into a little bit of our takes here later. I also think Aaron Jones is going to have a nice day. Addison, man, this is a tough one. I will go Jones. as well. I will go Aaron Jones. I think he's potentially got a 2-touchdown game loading. I think he can attack them through the air and on the ground. That's my thing. It's hard seeing Addison just put up a 3-touchdown game and have a monster game. I get it. But I think that, Bears defensive line is a little bit beat up right now. Their offensive line as well. I think this might be a little bit more of a grounded out game for the Vikings this week. So I do like Jones just because I think he gets 2 touchdowns, and I don't know if Addison can continue to have the tear he's having. So that it is tough though, Bryce. So if you went Addison over Jones, I definitely don't hate it there because you need the boom factor, right?
I think Moore is basically the automatic.
Yes. I'm not high on DJ Moore. To this game. Although, look, we'll talk about it. I do think the Bears are going to be able to move the ball. I don't want to get too far into the breakdown, but hopefully with one of my things, hopefully that Vikings defense gets you quite a few points because there is a lot of sack opportunities there. So hopefully you get 10 from them, you get 20, 25 from Bowers, and then, Jones can get you the rest of the way there. So good luck, my friend. Bryce, appreciate you chiming in. Good luck to anybody out there hoping for a Monday Night Miracle. This is what we sweat about. This is what we dream about in the when we're drafting, right? So this is, hey, round 1 of the playoffs, only 2 more weeks. So if you secured your W, congratulations. And if you're sweating one out, enjoy it. Enjoy the moment. All right, brother, let's get into this. Before we do, I just got to tell you guys quickly about the SGPN app. Download that app because it's completely free, easy to access all of our shows and all of our picks. Remember, guys, at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, it will always be free. We're never going to charge you. The most we're going to ask for is to shoot the shit with us, maybe a like and a subscribe. That's about it. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into our injury rundown. This is what you come for, folks. The NFL injury rundown where we're talking about the biggest injuries. And let's start it off with the biggest one. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes, City Chiefs, which – made a little video about this today, and someone tried to tell me that Patrick Mahomes is not a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. I was really perplexed.
Last all, I think they're 13-1 now.
I mean, maybe they're just a fantasy guy and looking at stats, but I don't know, man. I mean, there's few quarterbacks I would want over Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and that's how I grade quarterbacks. So anyway, high ankle sprain, typically a 4 to 6 week injury to the lower leg bones between your tibia and your fibula, syndesmosis, right? Harder to injure, so requires more damage, requires more force, meaning more recovery timeline, typically 4 to 6 weeks. But it's Patrick Mahomes, and we just saw him play on this 2 years ago in the playoffs and be effective. Where are you at with him? He's confirmed mild high ankle sprain week to week. What are your thoughts, and do you think he plays on Saturday?
I don't think he plays this Saturday, especially because they have another game next Wednesday as basically a really quick turnaround against Pittsburgh. I think it's one of those things that, like you said, Patrick Mahomes is a tough dude. We've seen him play through this before. If my memory serves me correctly, I think it mostly just changed the way that he played. Like, yes, he still can move around in the pocket, but you're not going to see him take off for those 15, 20, 30-yard runs nearly as often.
He's not in the regular season. No.
Exactly. Well, when it comes to the playoffs, we'll see. But within the next 2-3 weeks, I don't expect his rushing numbers to be nearly what they have been pretty much all season. But as far as Saturday, I highly doubt that he goes this Saturday. Questionable more so a week and a half from now.
So you think no-go Saturday, potentially on Wednesday?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to push back a little bit here because Patrick Mahomes is a guy who I thought when that injury happened 2 years ago, there's no way he's playing. And there's no way if he's playing, he's going to be able to move around. And he proved me wrong. And he's played through injury after injury. So I do think he plays. Now, I'm not 100% confident, obviously, but I think there's a chance that we see Patrick Mahomes out there. There's a reason when we get down to these early line locks, spoiler, but I like Kansas City at the plus money right now. But I think there's a real chance that he does play. No crutches or a boot or anything like that. Mild high ankle sprain, it's not nothing. It's not a low ankle sprain, which we're about to talk about. It's not something I would say for basically almost every other guy in the league, but he's just done it before.
Yep.
And it's Patrick Mahomes, and they need this win. I mean, they're a couple games up on Buffalo, but they can't finish. I mean, really, they're one game up because if they finish with the same record,
Right.
Buffalo has the head-to-head, right?
Sure.
So there's not a lot of room for error there.
And that's why I think, especially against Houston, it's not a division game. Give him those extra 3-4 days to go up against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, which is hell of a lot tougher than a Houston defense that has struggled at times this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, so Derek's calling him doubtful. I think a little more questionable. We will see throughout the week there. But if it wasn't Patrick Mahomes, I would not be having these.
I also just want to see a little bit of Carson Wentz magic here in December.
That would be nice to see Carson Wentz out there doing his thing. All right, another huge injury, a guy who also plays on Saturday, TJ Watt. Now, this is a low ankle sprain, so this is very different. It's typically what we think of when you twist your ankle on a basketball court. Injury to the lateral ankle ligaments injure a lot more frequently because they're weaker, but takes less time. Typically a 1 to 2 week recovery timeline. No crutches, no boot, nothing. Apparently he was moving around well. Now, what about TJ Watt? Does he play Saturday?
I think he has a shot at playing Saturday, especially this being a division game. If they end up winning it, it basically confirms they clinch the division. So I think higher likelihood of TJ Watt. Again, you mentioned it. As far as a low ankle sprain, not nearly as much force needed to produce that injury as a high ankle sprain. And I think, with TJ Watt, it's one of those things that you can be a little bit picky as the Steelers when you select to really send him. They do have 2 or 3 other pass rushers that can get home at times, and they really just play Lamar Jackson really, really well. So I think it may be one of those things where TJ, doesn't play the 95% of the snaps that he normally does. Maybe you take him out on a drive or 2 throughout the game just to give him a little bit of a rest. But in general, we know the Steelers are a much better team when he is on the field. And this time of the season, I fully expect TJ to get his full go to get in there. Yeah, no,
I'm pretty optimistic. I mean, Tomlin was saying he was fairly optimistic based on what he saw today.
Yeah.
So I think I would call TJ Watt almost probable for Saturday. Obviously, look, I'm a little bit more aggressive, but I think this is, it's basically a playoff game. You win and you secure the AFC North. You secure the, 3 seed. Likely the 3. Yeah. So you probably lock that in there. So it's a huge game. I mean, Pittsburgh's really kind of owned Lamar. They've been really good about keeping him hemmed in the pocket, and TJ Watt's a big reason for that. And they know that. So, we'll see there. Both those guys obviously have to keep an eye on. One we don't have as much questions is Detroit Lions running back David Montgomery. When they originally said it was just an MCL sprain, I thought there was some optimism for potentially a later season return.
Yep.
They said he needs season-ending surgery, which probably tells me there's something more like a meniscus involved, because just an MCL, it's, medial collateral ligament, has the best healing potential out of all the knee ligaments, right? So typically, even worst case, 4 to 8 weeks, which would leave some opportunity for, a Super Bowl return. Right. But they said season-ending, so I have a feeling there's probably a meniscus involved. So David Montgomery is out. Another guy who's also out for the season, Detroit Lions defensive tackle Lee McNeil, out with an ACL tear. As much as the Montgomery injury hurts, I think him and this Carlton Davis injury where he has a fractured jaw, he's going to be out around 6 weeks. So he should be able to return in the playoffs. But I think those defensive injuries, they also had another cornerback, Khalil Dorsey, out for the season with a fractured fibula. I think those are kind of worse than the Montgomery.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, if you look at the Lions defense, I think they've gone through like 20 defensive injuries up to this point. They've ran through an entire defense. They've gotten some guys back and they've lost guys for the season. So in general, there's just so much a defense can take, so much a team can take from an injury standpoint. And it's just kind of sad, honestly, for a Detroit team that until last year have sucked for better than 25, 30 years. Yep. And it's just, a damn shame, really,
Yeah.
that they've had the luck that they've had this year.
Yeah, I mean, best season, best team they've had in a long time.
Yeah.
They were my Super Bowl pick.
Ever,
I have a decent
probably.
amount of money on them to win the division. I can't
Yep.
believe they haven't locked that shit up with only 2 losses. But I mean, hey, National Football League, man. But
Yep.
I will say, with those injuries, they should be getting a couple linebackers back in Anzalone, Nwosu, or what's his name? One of the backups. His name is evading me right now. Plays next to Campbell. He's kind of filled in for Anzalone.
Mhm.
He's a decent backup, someone who just had a concussion. He should be getting back. So, the defensive line is getting thin. If they could try to grab somebody, I don't know what free agents are looking like, if anybody's off the couch at this point, but if they could add 1 or 2 pieces to the defensive line, their secondary is mostly intact. The linebackers and secondary, I think, will be able to be okay by the postseason when Anzalone comes back. But that defensive line, man, I don't know what they're going to do.
And we've seen it over the last couple of weeks. They've had back-to-back weeks that they've given up 40 plus.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things like, yeah, their offense can score, but can they stop you and I out there?
I mean, to be fair, Packers are a good team. They, I think it was 34-31 or whatever it may be.
Sure.
And the Bills might be one of the best teams in the league.
Bills
so
might be okay. Yeah.
We're not talking about they're giving up, shit to the Bears and things like that. So I do want to preface that. Like, I don't think they're the worst defense in the league right now. But yes, clearly it is a gaping hole that is only seeming to get wider as injuries are starting to roll in. So want to keep an eye on, but we're going to keep this moving. All right, so Saints running back Alvin Kamara dealing with a groin injury. They called him day-to-day, and then, Rizzy kind of went back on his word a little bit, never confirmed kind of mild day-to-day. I mean, look, the Saints are essentially knocked out of the playoffs at this point, especially with Tampa looking like those Bucks, man, they're coming through for us. But do you think they shut him down for the year?
I don't know if they shut him down for the year necessarily. I think it's one of those things that, like we've said in the past, groin injuries, adductor injuries, hamstring injuries, they kind of all run together. Like we hear about hamstring injuries all the time, but when it comes to groin injuries, they're really fairly similar. Like they're pretty easy to re-aggravate anytime we're cutting, anytime we're pivoting. Those adductors, those groin muscles really have to help stabilize up closer to the hip. So it's just one of those things that, like, if they allow the proper amount of time to truly heal up, that's okay. But very easy to re-aggravate those kind of injuries. So will they shut him down for this week? Potentially. I don't know about the rest of the season, though.
Yeah. All right, a couple ones we're going to breeze through a little bit so we can move along and make sure we get these picks in before 8:05, it looks like kickoff is. So Xavier Legette, groin injury. He a little bit more pessimistic there. Looks like he's not expected to play this week.
Yep.
Also, guys, if you have anybody particular you don't see on this or that we're not talking about, drop it in the chat. We'll definitely talk about him. Will Disley is a guy who has not practiced since he picked up his injury. Did not practice today. They play on Thursday night. Same for Riley Moss. Both big pieces of their offense and defense, respectively. Thursday night game, so I wanted to put them on there. Riley Moss, there's a big drop-off between him and Levi Wallace. Okay. And then Will Disley, even though Stone Smart has looked pretty damn good. So just some things to know there. Sam Hubbard, PCL injury. His season is likely over.
After catching a touchdown pass.
He's got more touchdown passes than Trey McBride. That is correct. He literally hurt himself on the touchdown, which sucks. But
I know.
If you're going to go out, I guess that's the way to go. They didn't officially rule him out for the season because they're still holding on to crazy hope that they make the playoffs, which I've pretty much wrote that off and cashed my bet in my head, theoretically. And then Browns running back Nick Chubb, he is out for the season, broken foot. This one's not nearly as serious. I think he's going to be fine for next season. I know people are saying, like, oh, his career is going to be over. Like, look, it's not terrible. I mean, it's not a good injury, but the Browns are shitty. They're not making the playoffs. It doesn't really matter. Like, this doesn't affect
full
my
training
outlook.
Camp, basically full off season.
He's going to be fine. Yeah, this time, like 2-3 months from now, he's going to be fine. Like, definitely by training camp. So don't, if you're doing any type of dynasty,
and it actually may be one of those things that, hey, even though he's coming off another injury, going back to his ACL, MCL, all of his knee stuff, like, we've talked about it before. It takes 1.5 years, 2 years to fully get going again. So he might be somebody to look at next off season.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, maybe we like that he left with an injury, and then that's an opportunity for us to get some value there, whether it's in the best ball streets, fantasy, whatever it may be.
Right.
So I like that. Yeah, I like that take on that. Okay, a couple other minor ones here. Alec Pierce and Zach Ertz are in the concussion protocol. We've talked about concussions a ton of times. Thursday practice is key to see where they're at there. Really at this point, it's about a 50-50 whether they're going to clear or not. The NFL, they decide how strict they're going to be on their kind of protocol. So if a guy doesn't have a limited practice by Thursday, he's very likely he's going to be out. If he does, there's a good chance he's going to play. But concussions are a little wild, so you got to be, make sure you're being diligent there, or we'll put out updates day to day as that goes. Miami wide receiver Jalen Waddle picked up looks like an MCL injury. It is minor. It's going to be day to day. He's got a chance to play. Again, we talked about MCL injuries. If you're going to hurt your knee ligaments, that's the one to do it. So he's got a chance to play. Another guy's got a chance to play, Geno Smith. Apparently no structural damage, although they need some more tests to see what's going on with his knee. And then Zach Ertz, same with the concussion. And then finally, A.J. Brown. This is just one I want you to put in the back of your head here. Yeah. That injury mechanism where he kind of banged up his left ankle and was writhing in some pain there. They said he was fine. He was able to kind of walk around okay, but that really looked like a high ankle sprain. So
it definitely did. Yeah.
Adrenaline is a hell of a drug. So if there's a report that A.J. Brown is not practicing on Wednesday, don't take that as a typical Wednesday. I'm not convinced he didn't walk out of there with a little bit of a high ankle sprain. So I don't know your thoughts on it, but I want to say, put that in there because I think that, it had all the mechanisms for being a high ankle sprain.
No doubt about it. Yeah, he definitely had that twisting type of an impact to that ankle. It'll be interesting to see timeline-wise whether he practices tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, like you said.
Yes, sir. All right, we're going to move on over, and we're going to talk about Underdog Fantasy. That's right. Underdog Pick'em's got everything you could need. All the sports, NFL, college football, college basketball. Use promo code SGPNDoc to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPNDoc. We're also brought to you by Rebet. That's right. Rebet is a new social sportsbook available in 45 states. I think we did the quick math, 90% of the states. So very likely you are in one of those states where Rebet is. And it's really cool for those people that are in states like Texas, California, where you can't, legal sports betting is not allowed, but Rebet is. So jump on over to Rebet, download, use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. All right. We're going to quickly breeze through some Warriors Wussies and some waiver wire to talk fantasy because not totally relevant to everybody. Hopefully you're still in your fantasy playoffs, but we're going to kind of breeze through. So you want to take the Warrior or the Wussie today?
I'll take Josh Allen. I mean, that dude is playing out of his fucking mind right now. The last couple of weeks, I think he's totaled 10 touchdowns in 2 weeks. This week, going for a couple touchdowns through the air, a couple touchdowns on the ground. I mean, by far and away the MVP favorite at this point in the year, and he just keeps rolling.
Yeah, no, he looks great. Someone who doesn't look great, especially in a must-win game.
Except for one particular moment.
Oh, my goodness. Must-win game. It's fantasy playoffs. For all of us, it's a must-win game. Whether you got him in a touchdown parlay, it's a must-win game. This fucker, Jonathan Taylor, just drops the ball. And then now, the safety for the Bengals battle, we saw it earlier in the day. Okay, he's a defensive guy. He's a rookie, whatever, maybe. But you're Jonathan Taylor. You're supposed to be one of the best backs in the league. What are you doing dropping the ball on the one? Come on, man. So, Jonathan Taylor, you are the official Wussie of NFL Week 15. Let's see real quick. John, what is up, John? Up 29.5 going against Jones and Keenan. Am I cooked? 0.5 PPR. Well, we talked about it at the top, and we're going to talk about it again. We are both big Aaron Jones fans tonight. We just think he's going to have a really good day. He's got a really good matchup going against that Bears defense. Keenan Allen is the guy you're hoping that just puts up a goose egg.
No doubt.
So, look, you and Bryce may be competing here. So for the sake of the show and everybody in the chat, we hope that he gets 29 points, Keenan Allen gets 0, and you win, and then Bryce gets the dub as well.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
you are gonna. I think you're gonna have.
You're rooting for DJ Moore and Rome tonight for sure.
Yeah, for Rome to take over there. But I fear you're gonna have a sweat. What game is? Oh, well, they're both in the same game. So yeah, you're gonna have a sweat right from 8:05. So good luck, John. Cheers to you, man. Hope you make it through. All right, let's talk about these waiver wire targets real quick. I'll talk about the two up top. Again, you're probably, there was a bunch of injuries, so maybe you need a David Montgomery kind of fill in. I like Jerome Ford. We talked about Nick Chubb. He's going to be out for the season. He's got a really good matchup. This Bengals defense is still awful. They can't stop anything. So I like Jerome Ford. And then Kendre Miller. Alvin Kamara, there's a good chance he misses this week. He was getting some nice burn. Now he's got a tougher matchup. The Packers are a little bit better. But if there's no Kamara, that means he's going to get all the work out of the backfield as a receiver as well. So look for Ford and Miller. Who else we got for these waiver wire targets?
Yeah, we got Jalen McMillan, who's really kind of taken over that second wide receiver option down in Tampa Bay. I think he's had back-to-back weeks with at least one touchdown. I think last week he had 2 touchdowns. He's really kind of stepped in as that second wide receiver, like I said, under Mike Evans. Jalen Coker coming back for Carolina. Yes, Thielen had himself a little bit of a day this past week, but you lose Leggett. Jalen Coker also had a pretty good return there. And then Brenton Strange, tight end, filling in for Evan Ingram, had himself a heck of a day with 11 catches and I think like 73 yards yesterday.
Yeah, no, Brenton Strange looked good.
Yeah. So all 3 of those guys, whether it's injuries or just kind of starting to get into their own, have really kind of stepped up over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, we're going to head on over to this Monday night game. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at mybookie.ag. That's right. Mybookie.ag has been run on SGPN for years. Check out their new and improved website. Great on mobile. Plus props for every game. We're going to talk about a bunch of games right now. So what you can do is head on over to mybookie.ag. Use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. $10 in a dream. That's all a DJ needs. That's mybookie.com. Promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. That's right, Rhythm, the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions on betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. They've got NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, NBA. They got it all. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Also, guys, those will always be in the show description. I know I've said this before, but in case you're like, what the hell is this guy saying? Don't worry. It'll still be there. All right, my friend, I say we get right into the breakdowns. We will do the early line betting preview. We'll do the early line locks after, and we'll obviously do the game that's going to kick off first. As a nice little teaser, why don't we get into our underdog pick'em of the week for this, or I guess I should say
for the night.
Finish off week 15 because we've got a couple plays that we do like over on underdog. This will give us a little bit of a teaser, and then we'll go back through and give it more of a full breakdown. But I just want to make sure we get these out before this game. So why don't you take the first one, and I will take the second one.
Yeah. So DeAndre Swift, let's go lower than 50.5 rushing yards. I don't think he's going to get a ton of work tonight, mostly just because that Vikings front seven is so good. I think it's mostly going to have to they're going to have to rely on Caleb Williams in that passing game. Aaron Jones, on the other hand, we've mentioned this a couple times already. Expect him to have a big night, whether it's through the air or on the ground. Let's go higher than 86.5 rushing plus receiving yards for Aaron Jones.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're big Aaron Jones fans that we'll get into a little bit more. And DeAndre Swift, I mean, I think we've talked about it, but Caleb Williams might get some on the ground. That defensive front, he hasn't really come close to this in the last 3 games. He's active tonight, but he's still dealing with a groin injury there. So some concern there. All right, for the other game, for the second game, we like Tyler Algier higher than 6.5 rushing attempts. I think he's going to be involved. I think the Falcons are going to be playing with a bit of a lead here. I think they're going to lean on a run game. No Max Crosby. This defensive line, they've had a couple guys on IR. Still no Christian Watkins, no Kuntz. I like Algier to get some carries there. And then Jacoby Myers. The Falcons have let up at least 75 yards to a receiver in the past 5 weeks, I believe. Jacoby Myers is that guy on the outside. Whether it's Desmond Ridder and Aiden O'Connell, will be Desmond Ridder. But Myers has been very reliable. He's been that target, and I think he's going to get a lot of time, whether it's in garbage time or early on in the game. So let's go Algier higher than 6.5 rush attempts and Myers higher than 61.5 receiving yards. So both of those, two to win $10 gets you $30 there. A little bit spicy on the Algier, so you actually get 32 there because he's a little bit of a spicy take. So wanted to get those out. Remember, promo code SGPNDoc over at Underdog Fantasy. All right, my friend, let's get into these game breakdowns, and then let's get these people out of here. So we've got the 4-9 Chicago Bears heading to the 11-2 Minnesota Vikings. Bears, I know they were a 7. Are they still a 7-point underdog?
The Bears are 7-point underdogs, but the money line's been juiced to plus 310 at this point.
Wow. Okay. So wow. All right. So it looks like some money's coming in on the Vikings late.
Yep.
What's the money line for the Vikings?
For the Vikings, we're sitting at minus 395. Totals now at 44. So that's been bumped up just a little bit. But yeah, it's still sitting at 7.
Yeah, and all that makes sense. All right, I'm going to give you the quick injury breakdown, and then we're going to get into our bets for this game. So Bears, no Roschon Johnson, no starting center Ryan Bates, no starting left tackle Braxton Jones, no starting defensive tackle Gervon Dexter, and still no starting safety Jaquan Brisker. But just DeAndre Swift is going to play with a groin injury. And then the Viking side, much healthier, just no Ivan Pace and no Stephon Gilmore in the back end for that defense. How do you see this game going down, and what are your best bets?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where the Vikings just need it more tonight. And I think knowing that Vikings front 7 on defense is so dominant, the Bears have given up I don't know if it's the most sacks, but they've given up a shit ton of sacks this year. I think they just get after Caleb Williams, start to fluster him a little bit. Like we said, I don't expect DeAndre Swift to have much luck against Minnesota either. So I am on Minnesota minus 7. As far as props go, just a couple of things. I do like Caleb Williams on the ground, and you just briefly mentioned that earlier. So I took his rushing over 25.5. Caleb Williams, if you tuned into our show last Thursday, I gave an interception parlay, and I didn't realize that Caleb Williams has only thrown 5 interceptions all year. So I did kind of switch to Caleb Williams under a half of a pick at plus 105. I just think that he does tend to take care of the ball, and he does get out of there and use his legs quite a bit. And then Aaron Jones, rushing and receiving. I took his 100 plus at plus 165.
Yeah, no. Look, I like a lot of your props, but I am on the other side. I like Chicago here to keep it close, plus 7. Look, the way this burns me is that Chicago is playing their 3rd straight road game, and Minnesota is playing their 3rd straight home game. So I do want to address that. However, we just saw this game. It went to overtime. It was a 3-point game. I think it's a divisional matchup. The Bears kind of got embarrassed last time they played. Meanwhile, the Vikings, they actually covered a spread. They actually got a decent win. I think things come back to the regression there. I think the Bears keep this close. I think that they've got nothing to lose. I think the Vikings, I still don't trust Sam Darnold to get a nice runaway victory. So give me the Bears plus 7. DeAndre Swift, we talked about him in the underdog, under 50.5. He hasn't hit this number the last 3 games. I think Caleb rushing, like you talked, or Caleb Williams does the rushing over 25.5. I like that there. I also like his passing. He threw for over 300 yards last time these two teams played. No Stephon Gilmore. This is defense that gives up about 250 yards a game. So I like his 250 plus 175 ladder to all the way up to 300 plus 650. Another ladder I like, Aaron Jones rushing, 70 plus as at minus 110. The bottom, I like it all the way up to 100 plus at plus 280. I think this Bears defense, they're susceptible on the ground. No Gervon Dexter as he is out with the birth of his child. And, look, it's poor run defense. It gives up almost 5 yards to carry. So I think that they can lean on that a little bit. On defense, I love defense. So I got to talk about some. Give me TJ Edwards over 3.5 assists, tackle assists there at plus 125. He's hit this pretty regularly. I think he's going to be seeing a lot of Aaron Jones, and there's going to be a lot of gang tackles. I think he's going to be involved as the middle linebacker there. And then some sack props. Look, Derek talked about it. The Bears have given up 56 sacks. The Vikings have also given up 41 sacks. I think there's going to be sacks to go around. If you can, I know over at Bet365, I took Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel to both get over a quarter of a sack at plus 180. Though he had 3 combined together. Greenard had 1. Van Ginkel had himself another one. I like Blake Cashman, the linebacker there, over a quarter of a sack at plus 200. And then DeMarcus Walker in the bring back on the Chicago Bears side over a quarter of a sack at plus 150. I like him as well. The only other guy I'll mention is TJ Hawkinson. Another guy, tight ends have been doing really well against the Bears. I think he has the potential to go off a little bit as well. 60 plus is at plus 150.
I did take Hawkinson anytime.
Yeah, Hawkinson is the one I like. So, look, Derek's on the Vikings. I'm on the Bears. We're both fading DeAndre Swift. We kind of like Caleb Williams to have a little bit of a game. We really like Aaron Jones and TJ Hawkinson. And then if you like defense, take the sacks, baby. I think there's going to be a lot of them in this game. Okay. All right, my friend, let's move on over because that game is about to kick off. But a game that's going to kick off in about 30 minutes from now, we've got the 6-7 Atlanta Falcons heading to the 2-11 Las Vegas Raiders. Desmond Ridder revenge game has been confirmed. No Aiden O'Connell in this game. He is the emergency quarterback. Do you have the live odds for us, my friend?
I can in 2 seconds. Yes, it is still sitting at 6. As far as the spread goes, over unders 44.5. And money lines have moved a little bit. Falcons at minus 325, Raiders at plus 260.
Cool. All right. So we've got for the Falcons, because it's a lot easier for them, they've only really got Troy Anderson and their fullback Robert Burns are going to be out. They're very healthy. But the Raiders on the other end, they've very beat up. Best player on the team, Max Crosby out for the season with an ankle injury. They're also missing defensive tackle Christian Wilkins. He's been on the IR. Defensive end Malcolm Kuntz is on the IR. Starting safety Marcus Epps. Starting corner Jacorian Brennett. I just wanted to highlight all those guys on a starting defense that are not going to be there for this game. I mean, obviously, most of them have been out for a while on the IR, but I just wanted to highlight that. No Zamir White, no Aiden O'Connell, and no DJ Turner. So the Raiders are definitely the more beat-up side. Now they are going to have Adam Butler. He is going to play with concussion to shear up that defensive line a little bit. All right. How do you see this game going down, and what are your best bets for this matchup?
Yeah, so especially with these strange like double header Monday night, we had a couple of them early on in the season, one of the first couple weeks. I rarely go to favorites, and that partially what made me land on the Raiders with this one. And I really just think that the Falcons have been on a downward spiral over the last 4 weeks, right? They haven't won in over a month. So I am on the Raiders at plus 6. Props wise, I made it pretty simple. I like Jacoby Myers to have a little bit of a day. So I took his over 61.5, and then I laddered it all the way up to 90 plus. And then I took Tyler Algier over 25.5 rushing yards. And then, like you said, over, I think it was 6.5 rush attempts as well. I do think the Falcons just like to involve Algier along with Bijan. So I do think he gets his, and 25.5 for him is just nothing.
Yeah, I am going to drop my John Hancock on that. I am in very much agreement with you on a lot of these things. Now, like you said, the Falcons have been sucking, which is great for our Bucks to win the South prop that we gave out at the beginning of the year. But the Raiders suck too. So I'm just going to go with the under 44.5 there. Both these teams, I think it's going to be a very, very ugly game. I could see, a 17-13 game, something like that. I think it's just going to be very bad football that we're going to have to watch. Now, what I do like, I'll just piggyback off what you said. Tyler Algier, 30-plus rush yards at plus 125. Jacoby Myers, I like his over 6.5 rush attempts as well at plus 100. Jacoby Myers, you also talked about. I like his ladder. He's one of the 2 ladders I like in this game. Myers receiving yards starting at 70 receiving yards, going all the way up to 100 at 4-1. The other one guy we'll want to talk about is we've got a backup quarterback in a revenge spot. Does he know all the plays? Is he going to be running for his life a little bit? He wants to make plays. Give me Desmond Ridder, 25-plus rush yards at plus 190. I'm going to sprinkle 50-plus rush yards at 9-1. He's a guy who is a little bit mobile there coming out of Cincinnati. He was able to use his legs, and he hates the Falcons. Let's be honest. He's going to want to make things work. Now, whether he's going to be super successful, we'll see. He doesn't have the best arm, but what he can do is he can exploit an Atlanta defense that already struggles with a pass rush, So maybe they're going to have to bring some extra blitzers. Maybe there's going to be some holes there. I just think that Ritter's going to be a very willing and capable runner today. So I am going to be on Desmond Ritter's running props. I like his ladder, but I do like Jacoby Myers and Tyler Algier a little bit better, a little bit more of the proven product. Overall, I am on the under, and yeah, definitely a lot more in the first game than the second game because we've got two teams that just look like trash right now, if we're being honest. But it is the National Football League, so of course we are going to have action on it. All right, my friend, let's give our early line locks for NFL Week 16, and let's get on out of here. I will let you.
Just a quick update: Vikings are up 3-0 already.
I did see that the Bears tried to go for it on their own 30 and did not get it, but they got to stop. They held them to only 3, so good for my covering the 7. We'll see how that plays out. All right, what do you like already NFL Week 16?
So another future that I threw out was the Steelers to win both games against the Ravens. Halfway there already. I do expect them to at least, at minimum, keep this to a 1-score game. So I did take them at +6. And then what was the other one? Shit, I hit the wrong number or hit the wrong button. And now my app's freaking out. Let's do it this way.
Do you need the number or who are you
Technology. On? No.
All right. Well, Derek's figuring his fucking life out. Yeah. I also like Pittsburgh. Did you figure it out?
No.
All right. I also like Pittsburgh +6. I think that's way too high. I think TJ Watt plays. They've been able to handle Lamar Jackson very well. I'll be on KC. I took their money line at +115 earlier. I think it's +110 right now.
Yeah.
And I also like San Francisco on the money line at +102 right now. So I like a couple small dogs. KC is a home dog. I think there's a chance Patrick Mahomes plays. However, that's definitely up in the air. I'm not sold on this Texans team. And then San Francisco, look, I think they get Trent Williams back. Nick Bosa gets healthier. I know they may almost be knocked out of the playoffs, but there's still a chance. They're still going to be going for it. And I think the Dolphins are just absolutely cooked.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw back. You got Hufanga back. That defense looked very good. They held a very good Rams offense to only 12 points. I think they can handle Miami down in Miami. I like San Francisco on the money line there. So I got KC, San Francisco, and Pittsburgh with the 6. What else do you got other than Pittsburgh?
I do like the Arizona Cardinals going to Carolina. I think it's one of those things that Arizona's still in the mix. Carolina doesn't. It is just still not very good. Bryce Young has shown glimpses, but he's still not very good. So I do like Arizona at -4. And then give me the Raiders. Or not the Raiders. Excuse me. Wow. Don't give me the Raiders. The Rams. The LA Rams at -3 going to New York against the Jets.
Yeah, no, I do like the Rams was another one I was eyeing up there. The Jets coming off a win that they did not look particularly good in. No. I think that's always an intriguing angle. All right, my friend, you got anything for the good people before we get on out of here?
No, I think it's one of those things that if we can get everybody to follow us on X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, reach out if you have some things that you would rather see rather than us just keep talking about, the same shit. Because if not, we're just going to keep talking about the same shit. So if nobody tells us otherwise, we like the way things are.
Yeah. No, as Derek so eloquently put it, look, you guys are a feedback mechanism, right? As the audience, first of all, we do appreciate every like, every subscribe. We are a completely new show. This is our first year. Hopefully you agree that the show has gotten much better since our initial episode on now to NFL Week 16. But hey, you're the reason why we do it at SGPN. We are completely free. We will always be free. The goal is to build a fun community of DGens to get a little bit ahead of the sportsbook and make some cash and have some fun. So, hey, folks, we appreciate you. We do appreciate every download, every like, every comment, every rating, whatever you got. It's the holidays. It's the giving spirit. So if we're going to be giving you, again, 6-2 on our locks, 4-2 on our props, we're on a bit of a heater right now. So if you want to throw back a little bit of love, we don't ask for your money. We just ask for a like or a subscribe. But you know what they say, folks. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the DGen Docs, we've got your prescription. from both of us here at the DJ Docs, do not forget to
go Navy. Oh, let it ride.
You fucking asshole. Yes, let it ride. What's up, DGens? Doc here. As a proud member of the U.S. Army and a lover of football, sometimes those two things cross over on here. But as you probably already know, as a lowly captain, these are just my opinions. These are not opinions that are representative of the entire DoD or the U.S. Army. The same thing goes for any references to any commercial products or hyperlinks. Again, that does not constitute an endorsement from the DoD or the Army. I hope you enjoyed the show.